Welcome back to another episode of On a Mission. I'm your host, Dr. Wendy Norfleet with Norfleet Integrated Solutions, and it's my pleasure to have with me today David Fernandez with bweega Incorporated. Welcome, David.
Yes, well, thank you, Dr. Wendy. It is a pleasure
Wendy is
to
fine.
be. Okay, well, thanks, Wendy. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, first of all, I want to learn a little bit about you. So, tell us something that we don't know about you.
Yes, well, besides my love of colorful bird shirts.
And it fits right in here with Florida, right?
Right, exactly. It's great for barbecues and pools and talking about animated birds, I guess. Right. And so, but no, I love making art and telling stories and using that medium to be able to communicate complicated ideas and thoughts. And that's kind of where bweega Inc. came from.
Okay. Yeah. And so bweega is a very unique name, and I know it's an acronym, so tell us what the acronym is for.
Right. Okay. So bweega is an acronym for a business model for writing, entertainment, education, God, and art.
Okay.
And so we take all of these things and we incorporate them into all of our projects to maintain, I guess, a consistency across the brand. Yeah.
Okay. And so this is an opportunity for you, I guess, to use all the things that you love, the writing, the animation, the art, and everything into one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. When I started working on these things, I was like, I'm never going to do all these things all at once. And then it's kind of like cooking. You're making a dish, and you start putting these ingredients in, and it starts to show in the work. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about some of your projects. I would love to know that. And plus, cool shoes, by the way.
Thanks. Yes, the shoes were an accident. I was actually painting, and I got a little paint on them. And I was like, and I tried to take the paint off. And so I was like, well, if you can't take the paint off, you might as well just add more paint to it.
Well, they're really cool. For those you can't see them, he has some really cool shoes on.
Yes. And so thank you. Yes. And I forgot the question.
The question was just a little bit, tell me a little bit of some of your projects.
Oh, right. Well, I started writing in 2012 for websites and news articles and stuff like that. And then I started making art. And then I created my first illustrated story in 2016.
Okay.
It's called Your Light, just a short little, I made it by accident. It was like, I made like 6 slides, and I was like, look, I made something. And I was like, oh, it's kind of like a book. So maybe if I made it by accident, maybe if I make more on purpose, maybe it'll be...
You make some money, right?
Right. I might make something good here. And so I ended up making 8 stories, 8 illustrated stories. And they were like pretty good, but I wasn't hitting the right market. Like getting people to read has become like a challenge. And I was like, well, how can I get these stories in front of people to get them reading? And I was like, well, everybody's on social media. So I turned a story about Zippy. He's this bird who can't fly. And I turned it into an animated story, and I put it on, Facebook and Instagram, and it's also on YouTube and TikTok. And it is, every chapter is 1 minute long. And right now there's 88 chapters.
Oh, wow.
So and that's that's where we are at today and how we got there. So a long answer to a short question.
No, I mean, that's just really creative, because a lot of times people, if you talk to some people, if you had put it out there, they would have given up. But you figured out, like, okay, I know somebody wants to do this. I just need to get it in the right format. And so I think it's very creative that you found a format that everyone likes.
Right. Well, and when I made the first, I had never done animation, right? Like, so I had illustrated, and so making the transition from illustration to animation was like a big leap, and so the chapter 1 is very like choppy, and when I made it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not very good, and I was like, this isn't gonna work. So you were just continually pushing the envelope and trying to get better has really kind of created, I guess the best way to describe it is like a mix between like SpongeBob SquarePants and Alice in Wonderland, like mixed together. And so it's a visually entertaining tale Each chapter tries to send a positive message, and you're reading it. So to get that part of the brain working again, and it is an exciting project.
Wow. So do you still, so I know this is your project and this is your, like, give back to the community, but do you still work with other companies to help them do something similar, or to do content, or to be able to deliver things in a unique, artistic way?
I have been fortunate to I mean, right now we're not currently working with anyone else.
Okay.
I've been fortunate to be able to build the brand independently and without any outside assistance. So
you found some way to sustain it.
Right. Okay. That is, that's the blessing part.
right, it is.
That's a tricky part.
Right.
And so yes, very, very fortunate for that.
So if you had to offer advice to someone who maybe is, looking at writing, but, maybe they tried the traditional route, writing a book and it didn't work, or short story, any advice you would give to that person?
I would say, if you have written something and you can't get people to read it, then you should always stop and say to yourself, where are the people? Like, what I did, where are the people? And how can I get my work in front of the people? Because that has honestly been the biggest obstacle. Because even if you write something that's great or really good, getting people to read it,
right? It's always a challenge.
Because there's so many. So I think the answer to that is finding the right avenue to attract the people that you're trying to find a different avenue than maybe some of the more mainstream ones.
Okay, so start finding some kind of little unique way to get in front.
Right, you got to find your audience. Where are they, and how do I get in front of them? Should be questions you should ask yourself, and then find a way to do that. Yeah.
Wow. David, thank you so much for sharing this with us. And hopefully it'll encourage other people who maybe have written something and don't know how to get it out there. It'll cause them to rethink the way they get it out there.
Well, thank you, Wendy. It's been a pleasure, and just so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please check out norfleetsolutions.com for this interview and many others. And we'll see you next time on Buzz TV.